Welcome back to the Hustle Unfiltered podcast hosted by Kayla Serta and Jackson Mansudi,
where we dive into raw, unfiltered conversations about training, health, and fitness while navigating the challenges of life and business in our 20s.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this video or this podcast. Listening.
What's happening?
Nothing much. Another day, another dollar.
Week what of prep now?
Fall. Done.
Because it's Friday.
Because it's Friday. Week 4 of prep. And she's slaying.
Yeah, update us.
Nothing has changed. Actually,
Green beans.
okay, I've changed one part of my meal to green beans because the coleslaw is just not it. The food has looked the same amounts. The only thing that changed this week from check-in is cardio went up by 5 minutes a session. So I've got 3 20-minute sessions instead of 3 15 minutes.
That's what, 20, 40, 60 minutes.
60 minutes of cardio a week. That was the only change I got from my coach for this week, but pretty happy with how everything's moving. Body weight has come up a little bit over the last couple of days by like a couple 100 grams, but I still feel leaner, still look leaner. And that's generally the case with my body weight. It kind of ticks up in the middle of the week and then I see a massive drop on the weekend anyway.
Yeah, it's probably because you stopped stressing.
Yeah, but it's fine. But other than that, that's pretty much the update on prep. It's just very rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
How's your mini cut going?
I'm pretty sure this is the last week of it. Thank God. I'm kind of over it. I feel like dieting for a mini cut, you're kind of just like, I know it's important, but you're also like this is not the goal right now.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like emotional attachment to it because you're just kind of like, this is just an intermission of the actual goal I want to achieve right now.
Yeah, I'm literally doing this so I don't get fat.
Yeah.
But no, it's been good. 4 kilos in 4 weeks because we're just that good.
Just eating that low food.
Yeah, well, we went from like 3.7 to like 2.7
Yeah, it's a big,
or 2.6. Yeah,
big change in food.
it was like 1,000 calorie drop. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Although I was in a surplus, so you could say it was around like 800 calorie drop.
That was like mine.
Yeah.
When you add up the food we ate before I started prep, probably sitting around 2,600.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been good. I've got 45 minutes of cardio now, which is just like gonna keep in the whole time. Just to manage some health markers.
Yeah. Keep the heart healthy.
Exactly. And then got a blood test today, so that's fun.
Yeah, he's very, very shell of a human today because he hasn't had any caffeine.
Choose your words carefully.
No food, and it's only 8:20 in the morning. We've been up for 2 hours.
Look, usually I'd be fine if I could have a coffee, but just not being able to have a coffee sucks. It's
a hard life.
I just like it literally wake up in the morning and I feed for a coffee.
Yeah. I definitely noticed when I'm dieting, because I remember from doing the photo shoot last year, like the coffee is my favourite part of the day. The coffee in the first meal, I feel like just like it really just sets up the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I'm going to bed.
It just gives you that like fountain of youth.
Yeah. I like go to bed, I'm like, oh, I get to wake up and have coffee and my brekkie in the morning.
Like even the food part, like if you were to ask me would I rather have a coffee or a meal in the morning, I'd probably rather have a coffee.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't recommend it, but it's like if I'm pushing back a meal, like you do, you don't have your first.
Yeah, like all I've had is a coffee and I'll have a meal after this.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
It's like you won't actually eat until later, but like at least you have the coffee to keep you going.
Yeah. There's just something about a bit of flavour. Like, I feel like I just need flavour first thing in the morning. That's why I like
agree.
it.
Yeah, good old water's really not doing the trick right
No,
now.
water after brushing your teeth is not it. Minty water, I don't rate it. But
So it's currently 8 something now.
it's 8:21.
We've got till 10:45.
You're gonna be so ravenous after.
No, I'm not hungry. It's more so I'm just like I feel like I have less energy.
Yeah.
But we're good. Life's good.
Remember last week in our episode, you're not gonna die from a little bit of
I'm not
hunger.
gonna die. I feel
You'll be fine.
I'm basically a monk now.
Because you meditated and you haven't eaten.
This morning, yeah.
Nah, that's funny. But to go off the back of last week's episode, and I think this will be a good kind of trip down memory lane for you in particular, because I know you went through this period after prep is kind of going over what you kind of do once you've achieved the goal, and that sort of identity crisis that is very common for you to go through when you've put all your time and effort and energy into one specific goal, whether that's something like a prep or even like a photo shoot or even just a fat loss phase, the first one you've done where you've really committed your all to it and seen an amazing result at the end. You know, you've had a very rigid routine. You kind of knew what you needed to do. You knew what boxes to tick. It's very easy to come off the back of that and just think like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And kind of what happens after that goal is achieved. So kind of going through how you would navigate that and what that looks like in the midst of it and on the back end of that as well.
I mean, it's good to have a girlfriend to pull you up on it. That always helps.
Support system is very,
Yeah.
very helpful. But do you want to go through about like what kind of what you experienced? Because I remember you telling me a lot how you just feel like there's just no purpose to living after this.
Yeah, no, look, it was really tough after the prep because I just felt down for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
I just was like, I'd wake up and I'd be like, why do I just feel like shit every day?
Mm.
Because, like, you obviously, when you're in a prep, you're just like, you know, I can't wait to not feel like shit. I can't
Yeah.
wait to not have to, like, eat less food and do stupid amounts of cardio.
You're kind of looking forward to going back to normal life.
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah. Whereas, like, you know, everyone, like, asks you, it's like, oh, what's the meal you want to eat? It's like, bro, I just want to feel normal. Like, that's
Yeah.
And then you feel normal, but then you don't feel different.
Yeah.
And then like you start to understand like 3 months later, you're like, oh, it wasn't the fact that like it was the fact that I didn't have anything I was working towards anymore. I felt like purposeless because like everything you've done for the last 28 to 30 weeks has been towards this one goal. And then all of a sudden it just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's like you have the high of like the show, even just like the support from other people around you. And even in the lead up to that, you know, you get the validation from others, you get the support, you get the messages, and then that just all disappears as well.
Yeah, even like after the shows, you feel it to a degree because you're just like, well, fuck, like what next?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, now I need to get better for the next show.
Yeah.
And then you're like, cool, like back to work. But you like also like kind of want it to be over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took me a while to do that. I think the best ways that you can go about really navigating that period of time is one, just accepting it and just knowing that you're probably not going to feel great during that time. For me, I kind of fell into some like other hobbies as well. Like, you know, good thing is that I wasn't training as frequently. I was only doing 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So like I would train with people. I would like, you know, go and do different things. Like, I don't know, if I go golf or, you know, just like go do different activities to remind myself that there's more to life than bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, obviously us going out and doing date nights and stuff was really helpful. And then just like doing your best practices that are always good for your mental health, no matter where you're at. So your meditation, your journaling, like all that sort of stuff. Like if you have a therapist, maybe booking in a few sessions to see them more frequently during that time to just like really realign things and get things good again.
Yeah. What would you say your drive was to do that? Because obviously that was your first ever prep. Did you experience that when you did your photo shoot?
No.
How did you identify that at the time, knowing that you were like, okay, I've actually lost my purpose? Like that's what you were experiencing.
Well,
and
that's
what
the thing. I didn't.
drove you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't know that it was. I just knew I felt like shit, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I spoke to Nick, the guy I competed with, and I was like, hey, bro, like, out of curiosity, were you like really depressed after the show?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I guess like how did you go about doing all those practices even when you probably didn't feel like it or you didn't understand the reason behind why they were so important?
I think a big reason that I did it was because, like, I didn't want to obviously let myself down, but I didn't also want to let our relationship down. I saw that probably taking a bigger hit in the post, like, sort of prep, and I didn't want that to be a problem anymore. Because obviously, like, love you.
Illy.
But like, yeah, I think for me the biggest motivation was like I need to show up for not only myself but you. And it's like if I don't do something about this, then that's gonna put our relationship at risk, which I don't want.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's like obviously really good to show up for yourself, but like sometimes you have responsibilities if you've got to show up for other people, and that's a big enough motivation to do so.
Yeah, for sure. Even if it's like if you're a mum showing up for your kids, if you're,
Yeah.
showing up for a partner, showing up for your parents if you have to, your friend, your
Yeah.
coach.
I think as well with the photo shoot, it was different though because like I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have responsibilities. Like it was like if I wanted to be a dick or I wanted to be down, like it's fine. Like I just
Yeah, no one else is really being impacted to it by it because you're just going in your room and
yeah.
not speaking to
And when I was
anyone.
living at home, like oh yeah, I would just like live in my room. I'd live
Yeah.
in my study, and so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I also was like single, so I was like going out with my mates all the time. So
Yeah.
then I probably, without even knowing, fixed that just because I was like being social all the time.
Yeah. You were in a way a bit more distracted.
Yeah, and it was summer, and like I was just like going into the summer holidays. So I was like going out more
Yeah.
anyway, and like, going to festivals and shit. So it was like I probably didn't even know that that's probably how I felt.
I guess there's also like a different drive when you're doing something like that off the back of maybe not being in the best shape you've been in. It's like I've got the best shape I've been in. Now I get to have fun with it and go out and
Yeah, that was
socialize.
the mindset I had. Yeah.
Whereas this time around, it's like going off the back of a prep, you have to be more strategic. You can't just go do that because that's going to affect your health to a degree.
Mm.
So it's like you still have to be somewhat locked into a goal like prep or like a show, but there's no show on the back end of it because you just have to get your health back to a
Yeah.
good level so it doesn't feel as rewarding in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's face it, I was lean for the photo shoot, but I was nowhere near as lean as I got for that show.
No, 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 no.
But I was lean enough to meet you.
So was I. I was lean enough to hang with you.
Do you have any like I guess uh what's the word I'm looking for? Concerns.
For my prep.
Yeah. Or are we blindly going, I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I think there is like that underlying like concern of is that like of that happening because knowing I've obviously saw that with you and we spoke about that, so I'm like I can see that happening, and I do have a tendency to once a goal is achieved to ignore what I just achieved and to move to the next. So yeah, you could say there's a bit of concern, but I think with that, similar, like knowing that you have gone through it, I know I have the ability to speak to you about it because you've obviously experienced it.
Yeah.
And just being sure I lean on the people that I do have around me to support me in that period. And one of my goals for this year is to reverse out of comp prep in a very sustainable way. Like that is literally a goal I have written on my whiteboard. Is to do that whole process properly. So knowing like, okay, yeah, you could probably feel a little bit like purposeless. Like that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll be fine. I think also just like knowing what to expect and knowing that, as I said, I think the acceptance is a massive part of it, and just being like, okay, I know that this is probably going to happen because like it's also just like a hormonal thing, right? It's not like something that you necessarily have like control over. It's not like mind over matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like your hormones are compromised as well. So it's like you're beating a dead horse essentially.
Yeah.
So it's not like something that you can just like be like, oh yeah, like I'll be fine. Like
Yeah,
I think
you kind of have to know that okay, this is probably going to happen and
yeah. It's like
accept it.
it's like the hunger side of like prep. It's like it's gonna happen. Like yes, you
Yeah.
can deal with it better.
Yeah, but
And
it's still going to show up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Has there been any situations with clients when, they've done a fat loss phase and they felt this way?
Yeah, I think a few times. I mean, like I definitely seen it with some clients where they will find the habits will either tend to fall off or they'll just have a lot of anxiety around the habits itself.
Yeah.
Giving them a little bit more freedom, they find that then they're worried they're going to put all the weight back on or anything like that. When, I was like showing you my client the other day and it's like 2 weeks post diet, he looks good. But then like 6 weeks post diet, he actually looks better.
Yeah.
Less stress. He stopped worrying about the weight gain and the number on the scale because, it went up, but it went up like 3 kilos.
Mm.
you know, which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Post weight loss, he did a 17-kilo diet, so
Yeah.
17-kilo
17-week.
17-week loss.
You can
Sorry,
tell you haven't had fucking
lack of
caffeine.
coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was like worried about that, and then obviously we just like managed those variables as best as we could, and he also felt somewhat a little bit like down in the dumps.
Mm.
And I think like if you just do long diets and lose, like if you lose 15 or so kilos in 17 weeks,
It's a big deficit.
like percentage of body weight, that's huge. He
Yeah.
was 90 something kilos. He's like 79 now.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think I've definitely seen it with some clients, and the biggest thing that you just have to do is really just hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like similar to what we said about the hunger being that discomfort phase of a deficit. It's like in a way this post diet or post goal phase before you either transition to the next or just even be in a position to solidify what you've done is like that's the discomfort of it, because you're not no longer chasing something new, or there's no sort of marker there, and you have to kind of shift the outlook on that goal being like, I just need to be able to hold what I've done.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's interesting because even like that's something that my mentor speaks a lot about in business, especially, is like it's one thing to get the success, it's another thing to be able to hold it.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And it's like similar with, you know, it's one thing to diet and to lose the body fat and reveal a great physique. It's another thing to keep it. And a lot of people struggle with actually keeping it because they don't have that sort of fuel to keep driving them. But you just have to be able to like maintain what you have.
Yeah, I mean, look, like if I'm gonna, I don't mean to take this away from the topic, but if I like think about even myself, like the next time that I choose to do a prep, I'm even got concerns around it. Because I'm
what?
about like getting through the diet, because I'm just like, well, I had such a big drive and reason as to why I was doing it the first time. It's like, is that reason the same? It's like, it's definitely not. Because like the whole reason was to prove to like a younger version of myself, or essentially just to say like, fuck everyone, like I look just like this. Like that's why anyone ever starts getting in shape.
Yeah, fuck,
Whereas the
same.
next time it's like, I'm pretty happy with how I look.
Well, that's the thing. It's the motivation. It's either people are motivated to do something by either pain or pleasure.
Yeah.
So it's like at the start of someone's journey in the gym, it's usually due to pain.
Yeah.
Whether they are getting a revenge body from a breakup or they hate how they look, you know, they're bullied, whatever it may be. Like they've got so much pain driving them, which is generally a lot easier to kind of use as motivation, because you can be like, well, I've got to prove them wrong, or
and
prove myself
I feel
wrong,
like
whatever.
it's a lot easier to access that emotion.
Yeah. Even for me in training, that's something I used to do with my training. To be able to push harder, I would access that. Whereas now it's moving from a place
Open
of,
the file.
yeah, I'm like, unlock.
Yeah.
When I do my chalk in my hand, I'm like fucking pulling some demons out. But you get to a point where, you know, you don't have that pain there anymore because you've achieved the goal, you've overcome it. And it needs to, if you want to keep moving forward, it needs to come from a place of, I know I can achieve more. I know I can do better. And I want to see how I can do that.
Yeah.
And it's not coming from a place of, I hate myself. It's coming from a place of, I can
Unlocking
do more.
new levels.
Yeah. And I think when people aren't operating from a place of pain, I think that's when people struggle the most.
Yeah.
As fucked as that sounds, like if you do not have pain to back the reason behind why you're doing
Kel
something.
operates a pain 24/7.
No, I don't. Not with my training and physique goals anymore.
Have you dealt with clients who have also struggled?
Yeah, it's definitely the kind of unknown after a fat loss phase, I feel. Especially if they've gone from maybe not looking their best to now looking amazing. It's like a lot of it is that fear of going back to where they were.
Yeah.
And like I think that's what stops them in their tracks a lot. But the biggest thing I'd say that would help in that is one, like communicating where you are at. Like whether that be, you know, if you like you obviously told me where you're at, you probably would have told Jason where you're at, like communicating with the support system you have, because I feel like it's very easy to get into those phases, or like after you achieve a goal to be like, oh cool, I'm done, like see you later, like I'm good to go, I'm thriving. And then it's like that feeling will pop up, and then it just can either be a spiral, or you could have someone kind of pull you out of your head and be like, this is normal, this is to be expected. You need to just keep on the same road that you've been on the whole time. The goals are just shifting now. So I feel like that's a massive one, especially for females. Like I feel like the post-diet goal obviously shifts from like trying to become smaller and leaner. It's like either maintain or I want more muscle. It's a big shift and it can be quite mentally like scary when you haven't done it before in a way that you know is going to achieve the goal. Like even when I did the first photo shoot and before I started working with Jason, I was like, the last time I put on weight, I was not happy, but I also didn't do it in a way that was appropriate for the goal I wanted to achieve. I just gained a bunch of weight in an unhealthy manner. So even for me, I had to be very, very honest with myself. Like if I go pursue this goal, it's a different way of me approaching this. And like speaking and coaching myself through that process of like, okay, this is a reason why this is happening and it's for this big goal or the next goal, whatever. And communicating that with your coach where you're at or your partner, whatever, whoever it is that you're working with. I think is a big thing because it feels like there's all this big emotions with it. But at the end of the day, like it's normal. It's going to happen. You're not unique in that feeling of it. And you just need to be able to lean on the support system you have around you to get through it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it is difficult for females as well because look, it's difficult for both because I feel like if you're a guy as well, it's like if you're a guy who's been a bigger guy, you always want to be the leaner.
Yeah.
Where if you've been a skinnier guy, you always want to be bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like probably the same if you're a girl too. But I know majority of girls want to look leaner.
Yeah. Because even if like they have been smaller, they also don't want to be bigger, but then they also want to be more definition.
Yeah, they want more muscle.
Yeah.
That's what the answer is.
Yeah.
Always more muscle.
Always more muscle. Can never have enough muscle.
Never.
Can never have too much.
Unless you're Nick Walker.
The literal nugget.
Mutant.
I guess in this phase, because it's very easy to slip into this habit of like not being disciplined and just kind of going through the motions. What sort of advice would you say to someone that's probably not doing a comp prep, but maybe they're doing a fat loss phase, maybe they're coming near the end of it, how to keep holding on to the habits that got them there in the first place, but also allowing them to have a little bit of flexibility with it without just going, I'm just going to go with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to like what you're happy with as well. It's like don't sit there and say that you want to stay lean and look great and you're not willing to do the habits that got you there. And then also I think it's just like best practices in terms of that would be like, let's face it, are you really going to be going out to dinner, going out to breakfast, lunch and dinner like during the week? Probably not. Because was it what you were doing during your diet? No. So it's like just save a meal a week for your partner also, or like your mates, and you can go and have that meal. And again, just be reasonable with yourself. Like tell yourself before you go, like how much do I really need to eat here? You know what I mean? Like, and again, these are really hard conversations to have because obviously you spent so much time doing that already and you're just like, oh, well, it's over. Why do I need to keep having to do the same thing over and over again? But it's like you got to understand you're in such a compromised position to be putting on weight that your body's just going to want to keep eating. And that's something that you need to understand as well. It's like, even if you've done a fat loss phase and maybe not to the aggressiveness of a diet for a comp prep, your body's still going to want to put on the weight. Your body's still going to want to eat. So you just have to understand it's like, well, as long as I'm aware that the cues I'm getting from my body right now are not real, like they're not actually real.
Like your cues are a little bit skewed.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of looking through this like goggles that tell you that you're always hungry. And if you can understand that, then you can kind of comprehend it a bit more. So maybe eating a small meal before you go out to dinner, it's probably a good idea. So then you're not going in as hungry. Or maybe just saving some of those calories and just having the free meal and going enjoying yourself is what's best practice for you. But you just have to know where that is for you.
Yeah.
You?
I'd say very, very similar. Like the biggest thing is the habits that got you to where you are is going to be what allows you to maintain it, but obviously not to the extent of what was required to get you there in the first place. And I think at the end of the day, it's just kind of remembering like why you've chosen to do that. Like I think for the meals, for example, it's like, if you think about it, do you feel really good after going out for a dinner every single night?
Yeah.
I know personally my digestion's fucked. Regardless if I'm in a fat loss phase or not, like I'm no good. So like I feel like I've
This prep, your
experienced
digestion might actually be the best it'll ever be.
literally fiber is going great. But I feel like looking at it from a different angle of like, do I actually need to have all of these meals, or am I actually choosing to get involved in this from a place of this is actually what I want? I know the potential consequences of it and I'm happy to accept it. Or is it just because you dieted for 12 weeks and you feel like you can never eat again? Like, I think it's important to look at it from more than just, so I've been dieting and now I'm not, lens of like, is this actually me looking after myself as well?
Yeah, and it's also just like, what's going to set you up for the next goal even better?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to diet so then you have to diet again in another 6 to 12 weeks? Like, is that actually what you want?
Yeah.
Probably not. You probably
Yeah.
want to make that look better, and the best way to do that is by setting yourself up for a good gaining phase.
Yeah.
Or even maintenance phase. Like, if you consider maintenance and still even, you know, be productive there, like, that's still going to set you up for good gains. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, like, you doing the right things to come out of that diet to set you up for that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big one. And another thing that really helped me when I did the first photo shoot and even the last one is just understanding, like, because I feel like food is the biggest trigger for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people can fucking train. Like, you'd have to chop off someone's legs for some people to get them out of the gym. But nutrition is generally the biggest trigger. And I think it's just remembering that, like, food is available always.
Yeah.
Because, like, there was one, when I did the first photo shoot, like, I didn't have any meals off plan. There was probably like 4 birthdays I went out to and I literally ate just some protein that was included. But I was like, I can always come back here. Like, I'm not on a time crunch to eat all this food. Same thing with the photo shoot last year. It's like, okay, cool, we've got all these date nights we want to do.
And we ended up doing 2 of them.
We actually didn't even end up doing all of them because after we had the 2 date nights, we were like, fuck this, we're full. I feel like shit, like I don't want to eat anymore. But like just remembering like it's all heightened because you are in that phase.
Yeah.
You're not in a rush and you're not limited to be able to go eat different food.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Quick little intermission because camera was dying.
The camera was done, guys. Sorry. We apologize. But essentially, I think, yeah, look, the main crux of what we were saying, I think it was more so just around like introducing back normalcy into your life is you obviously just want to be in a position where you're going to be setting yourself up for what's best long term. And sometimes in the short term, that doesn't always feel like the right thing to do. But, you know, you got to understand there's going to be some sort of flexibility back in your life, which means there might be a little bit of weight gain. But as long as you're doing all the right things and you're, as you said, doing the things that make you feel good, like then you're going to be in a really good position to do that.
Yeah. And looking, I feel someone that's very goal driven, like very similar to us, is like, you know, don't be afraid to set the next goal. It doesn't have to be in 6 weeks or 8 weeks time. But if you're like, okay, cool, you know, this is something like I know you do with your clients, something I do with my clients is like, okay, you're going to be in this phase for around this amount of time, might be shorter, might be longer, but know that after that, cool, you want to build more muscle. So we're going to go into that phase after. And like that is the next goal, but you need to get through this period first in order to be able to progress to that next goal as well. So I definitely think it is good to have still that long-term vision there because you can still fall back on that and that would be your why. But know that this is necessary in order to get to that phase to work towards that goal.
I mean, look at your photo shoot and my prep. It's like we set the next goal almost straight away. It's like, okay, I'm going to compete at 20 kilos more body weight. You're going to compete as a goal.
Yeah.
So it's like those are the next goals.
Yeah, and that your goal when you set that goal is like in a couple of years away.
Yeah.
Like it's still a long-term goal and my goal was still a year away, but it's just like, okay, do this phase to get to the next part to get to the goal that I do want to achieve. So
yeah, 100%.
That also helps as well, having that mapped out.
Anything on a lighthearted note we want to end the podcast on?
Oh, you always put me on the spot when you ask me this question. I don't know.
Anything crazy you seen in the gym this week?
Anything crazy in the gym? No, I feel like my sessions just like I'm just in there to try and train and get the fuck out, to be honest.
I got something. I've been listening to a lot of rock during my
yeah.
my training
He's
sessions lately.
bit obsessed with the emo anthems at the
Got my
moment.
emo girl playlist going.
Yeah. Nah. The training, I just want to be able to train and go home. For being honest.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next episode then.
Bye.